I'm Jamie and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about New Year's Treat 2024 and what a great way to start 2024. I thought this was such a fantastic episode and is definitely my favourite New Year's Treat that they've done so far. And yeah, this video is going to be explaining why I loved it so much. If you didn't know, the contestants this year were Deborah Meaden, Kojey Radical, Lenny Rush, Steve Backshall and Zoe Boyle. Generally, the reception to the cast announcement was pretty good. Most people were quite excited about it, but there were a few little concerns about how it would work with there being somebody under the age of 18, as Lenny Rush is 14 years old. Personally, in my opinion, I think they did an absolutely great job of accommodating him and his disability, but also like not really taking away from like the adult kind of jokes from it. Like I wouldn't say it's a particularly like inappropriate show for like a 14-year-old to watch, but there are like some things that perhaps parents wouldn't want them to see. That's why there's like the bleeped episode. But to me, I don't think they took anything. It didn't feel like it was a sanitized or a child's version of the show. I thought this cast worked extraordinarily well together, particularly for like a singular episode. I think the studio feel, the like atmosphere of the studio was at the level that you'd get like halfway through a normal season of Taskmaster. That they nailed it from the start. For me, this is, I think, because everyone was just so excited to be on the show. Everybody seemed like they were big fans of it. Deborah Meaden talked about it, how big a fan she was. So is Kojey Radical. But yeah, they just all seemed to be loving every second of it. I think everybody's personality shone through. And even though you didn't have like a team task, you could see like some of the contestants were kind of like, you know, Kojey and Lenny had a like kind of like great relationship. They were talking throughout the whole thing. So that was, I thought that was really nice. It didn't like feel like he was left out because he was younger, or that he was perhaps being like pandered to in any way, which I saw people say that they thought that might happen, but I didn't get that feel at all. I thought that it was still very much all like fair. But yeah, I have enjoyed all of the other New Year's treats that they've done. And there's always somebody that I was like, oh, I'd love it if they were on like a full season of Taskmaster. Particularly Nicola Coughlan is my probably favourite one, but I did really enjoy Rylan and Amelia de Moldenberg and Self-Esteem. I thought all of them were really good and I would love to see them on like a full season. Greg James as well. Last year's I think is probably my second favourite. I think they have generally improved each time. The first season felt like, you know, they were just finding their feet a bit, how to work with it just being one episode, and how to work with it being like generally non-comedians on the show. But by now they have really mastered it, and I think the contestants were amazing, and also I think the tasks that they picked were particularly good as well. As I said, most times there's like one or two people that I would think I want to be on the show, but for this one I would very, very happily have 10 episodes, like a full season with this entire cast. I thought they were all very, very fun. As I said, I felt that you could feel their distinct personalities, and for this to just be a singular episode, I think it worked really well. And I know I'm not alone in the fact that I loved all these contestants, because there's actually a petition to get Kojey Radical on a full season of Taskmaster, which is amazing. I'll leave it linked down below if you want to sign it. But yeah, I'm not sure if it will work, but hopefully this shows to Alex and the production team that, you know, just because they're not a comedian doesn't mean that they won't be funny on a full season. And you know, because I thought Kojey especially, I thought brought a really, really fun energy to the show. He was obviously such a big fan and living out his dream, you know, feeding Alex. I thought the t-shirt reveal was hilarious. You know, that's something that a comedian would like. I thought he had a really great sense of humour, and I thought he really played with it, you know, bringing like a joke thing to the studio record. I just thought he really mastered it, and I thought he had as I said, a great kind of like relationship banter thing with Lenny. Like even if it wasn't out loud, it was you could see it, and I thought that was really nice. There was jokes between him and Deborah as well. I just thought everybody worked just amazing with each other, and I thought the energy we got from Greg and Alex, again, I don't know whether it was just because it was like, this is a one episode thing, let's just hit the ground running, and the banter section at the beginning was great with Madame Tussauds. Everything about this episode was just fantastic. The energy, the silliness, and just how fun it was so entertaining to watch. And I imagine in the studio, watching it live would have been absolutely incredible. But yeah, I just thought, as I said, just fantastic from everybody. I loved that everyone just seemed to be having a great time. Okay, I'm gonna go through the tasks and talk about what I enjoyed about them. So the prize task, again, kind of a bit convoluted. They're all kind of very similar. I think the New Year's treat ones, they kind of go for that surprising, fun, prize that they want them to bring in, which I think makes sense. I think it gives the contestants a little chance to be creative while also bringing in something personal. So this time, the prize task was to bring in the most fun item to walk in a room full of people you don't know with. That was not the right way of saying it, but you know what I mean. And immediately we got a funny moment from Greg and Deborah, with Greg talking about how she rejected one of his ideas and he was going to get revenge by giving her 1 point, and then did actually give her 1 point, not for revenge but because her prize was generally the least impressive. It was the bingo case, which when I was making notes, I completely forgot what she brought in. To me, it wasn't memorable compared to everybody else's. That to me adds something that we haven't really had in the previous New Year's treat, that there is that direct kind of banterous relationship between Deborah and Greg, with Greg holding this grudge with Deborah, which I think was really, really fun. I love that it added this extra element of Greg holding a grudge and wanting to get revenge, even though I don't think he scored anything unfairly. I think I generally agree with all of his scorings in this episode. Kojey's prize, I think, was my favourite. I thought it was really, really fun. The robot dogs is something that when I was a child I saw on TV all the time, and I imagine he probably did it as well. I'm not sure how old he is, but it was something that was wow, that's an amazing toy, I want that, but I never got it. And yeah, I thought, so that bit was fun, a little bit of nostalgia, things like that, and then bringing in Six doing a synchronised dance. Absolutely incredible. I thought it was so fun. His excitement was hilarious. I just thought everybody's joy of watching it was amazing. I was really excited by it. I thought it was great. And then I thought it was quite fun how this kind of very childlike nostalgia prize was then contrasted with Lenny bringing in beer and cigarettes. It was just something that happened by accident, but I thought that was a very, very great start to the episode. Just the immediate contrast between an adult bringing in a children's toy to a child bringing in an adult thing, beer and cigarettes. I thought his whole thing was very, very great. I thought he played with Greg very well, immediately saying, if it's 6, I'll beat him if he only brought in 6 robot dogs, not 7. But yeah, Lenny was absolutely hilarious. I thought he was very quick to come back with retorts to Greg and Alex. He's a comedic actor, and I thought his timing was brilliant. So yeah, I think we're going to see big things from Lenny. I mean, we've already seen really big things from him before. He's on Am I Being Unreasonable with Daisy May Cooper, but I think we're going to see a lot more of him in the future, and I'm quite excited for that. I think he was absolutely hilarious throughout this whole thing. He also really knew how to work with the fact that he was a lot younger than everybody else, and I thought that played off really, really well, especially because if people went into the show with I'm not sure how this is going to work with somebody being quite young, to him kind of playing with that and making it really fun. Steve Backshall brought in the most dangerous jellyfish in the world, which was not surprising to me that he brought in a cool animal. It's his thing, but I loved it. I thought it was very fun. And Zoe brought in a one-man band, which I thought this was pretty fun. I probably would have put it on par with the jellyfish maybe, because I thought, the idea of you walk into a room with people you don't know, bring it with a one-man band, I thought that was quite a fun thing. But yeah, she didn't really argue it very well in my opinion. But yeah, as I said, I thought this was a really good prize task. Everybody brought in something good, maybe with the exception of Deborah, but she had a reasoning behind it. The first proper task of this episode was the poppadoms task, and this was to eat as many poppadoms while insulting Greg and Alex and having to remove a letter after each mouthful. I thought this was a very, very fun task to both begin with the episode with, but also to have in a solo episode special, because it was a great one, because the contestants, it was immediately something that was potentially embarrassing for the contestants, eating quite messily, eating a lot, but then also you had them insulting Alex and complimenting Greg. It was kind of the whole Taskmaster experience in one task. The whole thing that they were doing the most, eating the poppadoms, irrelevant. Insulting Greg and Alex, insulting Alex, complimenting Greg, that kind of plays with the dynamic that they've got. As I said, kind of putting them in a slightly humiliating position and, ruining something for them. The enjoyment of eating poppadoms is ruined. So I feel in a lot of ways this encapsulates what all the contestants go through throughout the whole season in one task. I think it was great to have, as I said, in a single episode season. I thought this task was like deceptively simple as well. You know, you think, oh, okay, eating the poppadoms, after each mouthful, I remove a letter and then I insult Alex or compliment Greg. But it seemed like just the process of trying to eat as much poppadoms kind of removed, like, for most people, I don't think anybody apart from Lenny and Zoe were really trying to say things without the letters they had gotten rid of. And it did seem like I was kind of thinking about it, I was like, oh, that is quite difficult. You know, you get rid of Z, that makes sense. But then I was like, oh, X we'd get rid of. Of course, Alex is in his name, and you'd go to, oh, I'll get rid of Y, but that's in like U. So I think it's very difficult. The ones that it would have really disadvantaged you trying to get rid of any letter, I think. Even if you get rid of the more like difficult letters first, it still ruins it for you. And obviously every time they made a mistake, they had 10 grams added onto their thing. I don't know if they expected all of the contestants to have that many mistakes, but it was absolutely hilarious. The editing was on point in this episode. The way that they kept marking each letter wrong, I thought was hilarious, because there's things that like I didn't even notice that they were saying wrong. I loved the chaos that we got from Steve Backshall and Deborah Meaden. They were very, very funny, especially when it's then contrasted with the relative like calmness of the other three. I thought that was really funny. And of course, Kojey's excitement of getting to feed Alex. That really makes sense as a fan trying to get the full Taskmaster experience in one day. So yeah, that was fantastic. As I said, the shirt reveal was hilarious. And yeah, there was so many great things about this task. Deborah, I thought, was very dedicated to eating as many poppadoms as possible. So was Steve, and his insults to Alex were hilarious. I thought Lenny's insults and compliments to Greg as well were fantastic. And I liked that joke that Zoe was too nice to be doing these things, leading into that insult that Greg made her say. That again, kind of playing with the fact that Lenny is younger and shouldn't be hearing these things, but again, coming back with a quick retort of like, no, I hear much worse from my mum. Like, I just thought it worked very, very well. It was very like fast paced. I think everybody was on point, you know, they're very quick to come back with things, and yeah, it made it very entertaining. The next task was quite fun as well, and it was to paint the portrait of you eating fruit without your hands. And yeah, starting with Alex asking how long it would take them to eat an orange. I love that Kojey was immediately suspicious and was like, this is going to be my time, I'm going to give myself a good time. That was fantastic. It's like my first thought was like, well, you gotta go with like 4 or 5 minutes, something like that. And then contrast with Steve going with 45 seconds. Hilarious. If you haven't seen it, there is an outtake where he attempts to eat the orange in 45 seconds. Attempts to peel and eat the orange in 45 seconds. It's on the Taskmaster YouTube and Instagram. It's hilarious. I highly recommend watching it. It's absolutely fantastic. I don't know why they cut that out of the episode. If it was me, I would have kept that in. I don't know what I would have cut out to replace it, but I thought that should have been in the episode. It was amazing. Yeah, there were so many good things about this task as well. I like that the addition of having to get angry as the time went on. Deborah was especially good at that. And I like there were some people thinking outside the box a bit, with Lenny using Alex's finger to paint. Yeah, I thought it was quite good. I thought everybody's painting except for Deborah's was more impressive than I would have thought, particularly Steve's. I know he didn't include fruit in the drawing, but oh my god, he should have got more points than 2, because that was very, very impressive. And of course, Deborah's picture was just absolutely hilarious. And I think this kind of running joke that we kind of had where she, with this, didn't quite understand the technology of the iPad. I know she was doing it with her nose, but she seemed to get like a bit flustered towards the end, making it all go like with a black screen at the front. And then obviously in the next task where she got confused by the toaster. But yeah, I thought everybody's were quite good. And I thought the scoring was fair as well. As I said, I probably would have put Steve's a little bit higher just for the sheer impressiveness of him being able to do that in 45 seconds. The last proper task we had was probably my favourite. And this was, actually no, I did like the poppadoms ones, but this is probably the one that I'd want to do the most, and that was to make all the things pop at the same time. So it's very similar to the task that we saw in series 13, and I really enjoyed it in that season as well. So yeah, this one, as I said, seemed a lot of fun and is the one that I would want to do the most out of all these 3 tasks. Nobody went outside of the dome to get anything to help them with. I'm not sure if that was allowed. I don't remember them saying if it was allowed or not, but I was quite shocked that nobody thought to get something to help them, or at least if they did, I either missed it or it didn't get shown. There was lots of really fun things from this as well, as I mentioned before. Deborah and the toaster, that was oh god, that cracked me up so much. It was so funny. Like, it did look like, I've never seen that kind of toaster before, but oh my gosh, the fact that she was almost like gullible to believe that it was a voice activated toaster. Like, I'm sure Alex wasn't expecting her to actually do that, but that is just genius, like just absolutely amazing. Also, I think Steve, again, his attempt at this was incredible. I don't think anybody could have done it any better than that. Like, it was perfect. And everyone's attempts, I thought, were quite good. Like, I think in kind of contrast to the Series 13 task, everyone seemed to really struggle at this, and I thought generally everybody did quite good. Lenny was great, Deborah was great as well, even with the toaster issue. And Zoe and Kojey, even though they did the worst out of everybody, Zoe's went wrong because of the feeder, her forgetting about that, and Kojey's went wrong because I think the balloon popped early, which, you know, it was kind of deceptive in the fact that you didn't know where it was, you didn't, you know, that kind of thing. So I do think, though, that Alex, maybe I'm expecting that he just didn't notice that it hadn't popped, but most people, he said, okay, you've done everything, you've done the task, and then Zoe's was left unfinished. As I said, I imagine they probably noticed after she had left. It was a very funny moment nonetheless, but I did feel bad for her that it did get left over. I think she still would have lost or come second last anyway, so it didn't make that much of a difference. But yeah, I obviously, as I said, it was probably a mistake, but I did feel bad for her. I also love Kojey's song in that one. I like that he, again, was just having fun with it, even when it went slightly wrong. But yeah, I thought just the task was very good. Very simple, just make all these things pop at the same time, but it was tricky, and I liked that he did give them time to, like, practice and stuff like that, which is probably why it turned out better than the Series 13 one, because they were just chucked in it and it was like, make all these things happen at the same time. So yeah, that, I think just the task was very well constructed. Even though I liked the chaos of the Series 13 task, this one I think worked better as a task because you actually got, like, the satisfaction of them doing it all in one thing. Like, having one attempt is difficult, but I think the practicing made it a more doable task, if that makes sense, rather than just being thrown into it. Now, onto the live task. This I thought was a very fun live task to have. I liked that the audience got to play along, like people at home got to play along. If we think this episode might be an episode that people who haven't seen Taskmaster before may watch, whether that be because they're just into watching, like, all the Christmas specials or the New Year's specials, or whether they know one of these contestants but haven't really seen Taskmaster before. This, I think, was a good episode to start off with, to introduce them to the show. And also, I think this task as a live task was quite good. It was a studio task that had, like, multiple rounds. I thought that was very good. It wasn't one that was, like, cut short, especially for, like, a singular episode. Like, there's been ones where the task didn't work very, very well, or everyone failed at it, so it was a bit of an anti-climax. But with this, I think the way they'd done it made sure that it was fun, exciting, and was guaranteed to be fun and exciting. The egg thing was fun. I liked Zoe and Steve throwing it over their backs and forgetting the audience was there. Little things like that that just add to the show. But yeah, the task I thought was very fun. I liked the trick with the watermelon. I didn't see that coming, annoyingly, and I liked that Kojey and Lenny, who as seemingly big fans of the show, were kind of getting annoyed that they were falling for the tricks, because I would be annoyed. It's like, oh, I've watched this show so many times, I should know when they're going to trick us. And I love that Kojey was kind of getting a bit, like, he was obviously playing it up, but it's very entertaining, and it's like, I know you're feeling, as a viewer, I feel like that they've tricked me again, and, like, I shouldn't be getting tricked at this stage. But yeah, I thought all of it was very fun. I also liked that Greg and Alex were on the stage. Even though it's fun to see the contestants, like, scrambling about on the stage, I liked that Greg was kind of front and centre on this live task. I liked that it was very fun having him involved. Normally he's just kind of watching what goes on, making comments, but I liked that he was directly involved in this task. I feel like it's something that they should play with a bit more. I loved also Alex making the little Alex Horne hole and trying to fit through it as well. That was very funny, playing on this joke that he's very small when he's obviously not. And also playing the relationship between Greg and Alex, holding hands, making a remark about how all people on the internet are gonna get excited again. I just thought all of that. They played on these running jokes, but if you're watching for the first time, you wouldn't be like uninvolved in the running jokes. It would just be funny anyway. And the winner this time was Lenny, and I genuinely thought that Steve was going to take it after the popping one, but yeah, I thought it was very well deserved. I would have been happy if any of them had won. I do wonder what they're going to do when they get to like 5 New Year's treats, and next year will be the 5th one, whether they'll do like a New Year's treat Champion of the Champions. I hope they do, because that would be very, very fun. But yeah, I thought this was such a great episode. I loved all the contestants. I loved all the tasks. I think they have really mastered how to do these like singular episode specials. It was very entertaining all the way through. Again, as I said, I think the fact that they've managed to have such a great studio environment with just one episode, everybody went in wanting to have a good time, and as a result we all had a good time watching them as well. They went in knowing what the show was about, knowing they were perhaps going to be a bit embarrassed, a bit humiliated, and everybody seemed to take everything in good spirits. And yeah, I just thought it was such a great episode, and yeah, it's definitely my favourite New Year's treat. And as I said, I'd love to see all these contestants again. I don't think that's going to happen, but I would love it too. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode. Did you love it as much as I did? If you like this video, then please give it a like, it helps the channel, and subscribe if you want to see more videos to do with Taskmaster. I'll have some more out for you soon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!